You're fine. You can always do that.
Yep. Yep.
I know you got a speech, so we'll take this here.
Yes. Thank you.
Sir, right there, hot sauce. Take your seat.
So I'm going to introduce Miss Pam and Miss Joey Smiley. They're our guest speakers tonight. As I said earlier, we've got quite a bit of material to go through. Congratulations, you guys. This is your last night.
Yay.
So we have some pediatric videos. I think I was talking about that a little while earlier. If you get squeamish, I'm sorry. There's no blood in these tonight, but they are sick babies. So just as a preface, last semester, my students, I had one that was gung-ho. She was going to be a pediatrician. And after we got through class, she said, no. Yeah. She said, and I said, well, what did you expect? I said, they're going to bring you sick kids. She said, well, I didn't expect that. So not every day is like this, but I want y'all to be prepared for your bad calls. Okay. So the more prepared we are, the better off we are. Miss Pam is here to speak about her condition that she has. This has been she has suffered much. No,
I don't suffer.
okay.
No. Because if I suffer, then I put myself in a subservient position, and I don't do that. I am a strong woman, and I will navigate this, so I don't suffer.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and let her eat, and we're gonna talk about some things. She is my goal for chapter 25, special considerations. This is geriatric, right?
Yeah.
Just special considerations.
I am 64. In 9 more days, I will be 65, God willing. If I make it 9 more days, right? Nothing's promised. But today, as we sit here. So I am a geriatric patient.
Okay. I wasn't going to call you that.
I am. I've earned it.
Also, this should have been handed out on trauma night. I'm sorry. These are rules of 9 for burns. Those will probably be on your test. That's how they rule burns, how much percent on the body.
The torso is like 20%, right?
It's 18 and 18, I believe.
Front and back.
Yeah.
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 See, I'm not an EMT, but I've trained too.
Okay, so I'm going to go over chapter 2, legal and ethical principles, while Miss Pam is eating. She probably don't want to be on camera while she's eating, so I'll turn it just a little bit there. I also want to, we're going to do a lot of practicals tonight once we get done. Our primary focus is on you all that are testing. We want to make sure you are comfortable in your skills, and before you get into the field, we want you guys to work on that here. Okay, you don't have to be perfect. Nothing. We're just looking for comfortable. Okay. All right. So last time we did practicals, I think there were some nerves that were a little bit wrapped. Sam did his job. So there's going to be some more of that tonight. I'm trying to make this as real as possible. There may not be somebody out there with a basketball and a whistle making racket, but it may be a barking dog, or it may be a tractor, or it may be a vehicle that the horn is stuck on. So I want to make sure that you guys know that you can do this under pressure. Okay. I've got blank stares. Everybody's got their belly full. Nap time. All right, chapter 2. All right, so what I want to review consent. So let's talk about competence. Consent is a legal term that means to give formal permission for something to happen. Capacity refers to a patient's legal rights and ability to give consent for his or her own care. In the case of the emergency medical responder, you must receive permission from each and every patient before you legally provide care. Competence is this patient's ability to understand what's going on around him, your questions, and the implications of decisions he is making. In order to obtain consent or accept refusal of care, establish that the patient is competent to make such decisions by asking the patient, such as where is he at the time, what day of the month it is, and what has happened. How many of y'all have been on scene with me and heard every one of these questions before? Okay. All right, express consent. Adult is of legal age. It is alert and competent, can give you consent to provide care. Patient's care is usually oral and referred to as express consent. The patient must be making an informed decision and should also advise the following: your level of training, why you think care may be necessary, what care you plan to provide, and any consequences related to refusing care. Of course, when I'm on scene and I do an AMA, especially if it's my first time, I always get to the bottom and I say, hey, I've got to tell you all these things, and I usually run through them like a cassette tape on fast forward. So one of the things is any other transport by ambulance could be hazardous, and without medical treatment, further harm could happen. So just make sure that your patient understands what's going on. We've got a patient out on, I'm sure y'all have heard it, the Day Road, and he's in his 90s. And the last time I went out there, home health was very upset with us. He had had a dream or hallucination or something, and thought somebody broke into his house and had spilled acid on him, and he needed some more care, but he was able to tell me President Day where he was at, and I couldn't do anything. Home health thought we should give him a shot and just throw him in the truck and run him off to the behavioral unit, and that's unfortunately we can't do that. Implied consent in emergency situations when a patient is unresponsive, confused, or so severely ill or injured that express consent cannot be given. You may legally provide care based on implied consent. This is Good Samaritan right here. It is implied that the patient would want to receive care and treatment if he were aware of the situation and not able to respond. Since children are not legally allowed to provide consent to refuse medical care, a form of implied consent is used in most states when parents or guardians are not on scene and cannot be reached quickly. The same holds true for the developmentally disabled or mentally ill. Emancipated minor. Someone under the age of 18 become legally emancipated and have been freed from control of their parents or legal guardians. Emancipated minors are legally allowed to make their own decisions regarding medical care, provide medical care as you would any other adult patient in the same situation. Now, when it says adult patient, it doesn't mean treat them with the same vital signs as an adult. I mean, that would still be 17, 16 would still be pediatric. Refusal of care. We kind of covered that just a minute ago. Alert, competent adults have the right to refuse care, restraining or threatening to restrain. A patient is against his or her wishes could result in a violation of criminal law. Try to gain the patient's confidence through conversation. If you feel the patient is at risk, you may have to call law enforcement. A patient does not have to speak to refuse care. He can shake his head no or hold up his hand for you to stop or to pull away from you. So it says, understand local protocol. I have some good news. I talked to one of our local doctors, Dr. Larry Zell. I don't know if any of y'all know him. He's a native from Mountain Home. He has agreed to be Fulton County's medical director for first responders. So this sheet with all of the National Registry protocol, I advised him of that, and he was really, Shayna will tell you, I had like 3 different speeches that I was going to give him, and he was like, okay, just write it up and let me know. So I'm going to try to get blood sugars in there, and of course pulse oxes. We'll talk about backboarding. I don't know his feelings on that, but we're going to get you guys some protocol to cover you guys. Okay. This where was I going at with that? You may not, in some places, you may not leave a patient who's refusing care until someone is with them a higher level of care. We really don't have that issue. If they're alert and they're responsive and they're of their own recognizance, you can leave them. If they're hurt, that may be a little bit more of an issue. And I say hurt, like, you know, they're a dementia patient, and you know it's a UTI, and they need access because they're going to, you know, frequently falling, and need a guardian at that point in time. So behavioral patients, I'm going to talk to Dr. Azell about this. I think we're going to be changing our protocol as far as suicidal, homicidal patients are within the EMS department. And I want to talk to Dr. Azell about that. We should have, on any behavioral patient, we should have law enforcement on scene. If it's something that we cannot handle, like the barking dog we talked about earlier in this class, and that could bite, and they called out the fire department with the fire extinguisher, that's not okay. So unfortunately, I know that law enforcement, they are heavy or light, not heavy-handed, but they are short-staffed also, but being short-staffed is our lives. I mean, that there's not an equivalent there. I want everybody to go home, and I want to go home. So we're going to have to find a happy medium here. These homicidal patients, I've had 2 within the last 2 or 3 months. I had a 14-year-old. Mom was afraid to go to bed with the kid in the house because of his behavior. And I had a 77-year-old, same issue. She was wanting to kill other people, and not necessarily us, but she had made comments to other family members. And just for congruency, I refused to put either one of them in the back of the truck. I did not refuse care, but I refused to put the patient in the back of the truck, just me in the back of it. So if there's any situation that you are not comfortable with, do not approach. Okay? All right. And if I'm going too fast, you guys got questions? Let me know.
How did that play out?
What's that?
Other than the ambulance, did she need to go somewhere?
Yeah, the officer on scene put her in the his unit, and I said, if you want me to ride in with you, I will ride with you in the front seat with them in the back behind the cage. And he ended up transporting her by himself, and we followed in. So we never technically left, we never abandoned the patient, but we had them, because you can't restrain. We're not going to restrain these patients. If it's comes down to restraining, we don't have protocol for that. We don't want protocol for that. There's too much liability. So that's a really gray area. Especially y'all have seen the headlines out there, and we don't want that. We don't want that at all. Advanced directives. Are there any other questions on that? Okay. Advanced directives is a document that allows a patient to define in advance what his or her wishes are in the event that he has become incapacitated because of a medical illness or severe injury. So we hear a lot, I have power of attorney. This is power of attorney, advanced directives. If this patient is incapacitated and not able to make their own decisions, that is the only time that a power of attorney is warranted. If I'm talking to a patient and granddaughter says, I want them taken to Mountain Home, and the patient saying, I know I'm sick, I'd rather just take a Tylenol and go back to bed, I have to respect that patient's wishes. Yes. Yes. DNR orders do not resuscitate. So if you go into a house and somebody says that they are a DNR, technically we are not able to stop CPR. We should initiate it if there is not a DNR in hand. You can read the situation if it's, you know, grandma that's 91 years old and she's passed away peacefully in her sleep, and they say, you know, we don't want anything done. Don't do that. But if it's somebody that's 30 years old and say that, what's that? Yeah, quite crazy ex-wife walks in and says, don't revive him. That's a little bit different. Just read your situations, and two, if somebody has got if they have got a advanced directive, they can revoke that at any point in time. If they say I wanted to be a DNR, but I've changed my mind on that. Of course, they're not going to sit up, you know, when they're coding and say, I don't want to be a DNR anymore. But beforehand, they can do that. The DNR paperwork, usually I tell them to keep it like on the refrigerator. At some places, and I don't know who come up with this because this don't make sense to me whatsoever, but they have a vial that goes into the refrigerator that's got advanced directives of their DNR paperwork. Who looks in the refrigerator? I mean, honestly, you do?
Depends on where you're from.
Okay.
I'm from Massachusetts, and it's called the vial program. In that vial are all your current prescriptions, emergency contact, and yes, we're trained to go into the refrigerator and look for a medicine vial that says my information or what.
Okay. Did not know that.
Yes. That was the Massachusetts thing that EMTs came up with.
Guess it just didn't take hold in the South.
It's regional.
Is it because maybe like for a fire or something like that, it may be safer in the refrigerator versus outside?
It was considered to be one of the most protected places. In my house, it would be my gun cabinet, but you're not gonna get into my gun cabinet. So the most other protected place is my refrigerator.
Yeah. 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 All right. Negligence is the basis for many civil lawsuits, including pre-hospital emergency care. Tort law involves a wrongful act, whether intentional or negligent, that causes injury. Elements that must be established for a lawsuit alleging negligence: duty to act, breach of duty, damages, and causation. So basically, don't leave the patients that need care. Don't leave them. Yes. 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 That's why protocols are really important. That's the reason why we're really hammering on these, is to make sure that we do not, we ensure that we're not going to have any kind of gross negligence. So I was talking to Sam and Brett outside earlier. I don't want you to be this person. And he brought up a good point. So he said, big mask, big air, little mask, little air is how he remembers. We had a respiratory patient, I'm not saying what district it was, placed the patient who was in severe respiratory distress on a non-rebreather with the bag not inflated and at 6 liters a minute. Don't be that person, okay? 15. I got some heads. 12 to 15. And inflate the bag. All right, abandonment. Once you begin to help someone who is sick or injured, you must continue to provide care until transfer of care to a patient of equal or higher level of training. Okay, so what are our 3, when we walk in, what is our 3 things? Scene safe, BSI, and what? ALS. Everybody remember that? BSI, scene safe. Yes. Okay, so everybody knows confidentiality. Don't talk about it with your family. You can talk about it with anybody that's within that continuum of care. If it's okay if you guys approach, say, hey, I was on this call with you, or what happened to Miss Jones? What happened to that patient that we had a couple of days ago? Have you heard an update? That's totally okay. But if somebody off the street says, hey, that car accident, I seen on Facebook. What happened to them? Were they really hurt? Don't disclose any information on that. If you are, we've talked a lot about scenarios in our training here, but if you've noticed any time that I have discussed, it's always been a 31-year-old female, Caucasian. We talked a little bit about African-American and Asians, I think like in the first class. But don't ever give any kind of descriptions, no addresses, no date of birth, no names, no nothing like that, okay? BSIs. Body substance isolation, good.
Can you give names so you might know where the place is at if you don't know addresses?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit different. Yeah. Because that's trying to get us there. So,
Well, no,
Yeah.
one of the dispatchers, I call over the dust copies of that street. Call it dispatch. I was dust copy, we can't give it.
Oh, no,
That's
you
one
want
time
fire.
my neighbor's copy.
Okay.
So
you can't give out
a
where-
lot
okay.
don't have the address. But, so.
And I've heard a lot too say, well, it's the old Smith residence. That would be appropriate. Reportable events, I have wrote up on the board, adult protective services and child protective services. So, laws have changed. We are technically what they call mandated reporters because of where we work and what we do. Let's just be honest, we walk into some horrendous housing and situations. So these 2 numbers are very important. You can give names and addresses and date of birth to these 2. They're going to ask, we're going to ask your name. Don't do it anonymously because they have caller ID and they're going to know. They are legally binded. They cannot tell that patient who called it in. So most times we get blamed for that, which is okay. I don't care. So don't rely on us. We will try to do it, but you guys out on these lift assists, we don't make them to all of them. And you guys walk into a lot of different situations in what we do. Grease fires, kitchen fires, you guys see a lot more than what we do. So if there's something that needs to be reported, or even if it's something suspected, please make sure that you report these. Okay,
Let's say
okay,
like, I know a lot of these, adults are receiving,
Mhm.
but some of them live like, it's not a safe environment.
so what we learned while working at the children's home, we had a tally generally of 7 children. And out of those 7 children, we probably had 5 to 6 that came from negligent situations. And attorneys, apparently, that is like the worst thing for them to be able to prove, because the choice of living a certain way is a person's freedom. If they want to live like porters, if they want to live, what? Oh, yes, yes, yes.
But if somebody has a walker and they can't get their walker because they can't get it down the hallway,
That it would be a safety issue, but it would have to rely on, are they malnourished? Are they clean? Are they able to take care of themselves in that situation? We heard a horror story they brought up to us, the Arkansas State Police, the children's unit actually come up and talked to us, and they were telling us about a case where a 3-year-old was left at home by themselves, and they knew how to call 911. They had food in the refrigerator, and they knew if there was any problems, they could go next door to the neighbor to get help. And this mom would leave her 3-year-old for 8 hours at a time while she went to work, but they couldn't do anything about it.
In Arkansas, we have-
Yeah, no age law.
As
Yeah.
long as the child is like that, tell the police what I need to do. If this happens, I have
Yeah.
to-
Yeah. Yeah.
When I knew when I was in the league, which is a couple years ago, we had a basic test. They told us that since she was living on her own, she was boarded, and she wasn't even that. But they couldn't do anything about it, but then we told them if they had a caretaker, it was a dog coming up. And they said, yep, then we do something, because that's the daughter's fault.
Yeah. Yeah. So even if you're on the fence about it, it's better to report it than not. And you don't ever know. Home health may have already reported it, and we may have already reported it too. So if it goes unnoticed, we're not doing anybody a favor. We're not doing them a favor. We're not doing their family a favor. And I don't know about you guys, but I lay awake and I think about these people. The guy on the day road, I think about him. I go to bed at night, I worry about him.
Sometimes adults, huge students that have-
Oh yeah, yeah, we have it quite a bit.
So we're supposed to report that.
Yeah, the situation where it's not safe, it's hazardous, and they are,
That's a,
other than a quality of life, or if it's a situation where it affects quality of life and not quality of living. Does that make sense? Like, it's not illegal to be poor, and it's not illegal to be dirty, but it is concerning if your children, if there's bottle caps in the floor and you've got infants crawling around on the floor that could get to
Well,
them.
I'm not talking about children.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the next thing.
Okay,
When it gets to a certain point,
you're talking about the one that, yeah,
it's hard to, in some ways, he is very good, he's more, but in some
Yeah.
ways, he needs,
Yeah.
but, like, I said, being clean or being,
yeah.
that's a hard
You're
call
in
for
a
me to make.
you're in a very tight situation. Which I think I suggested, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Quality of life, yes.
Then where's the protocols on the quality of life? Because my quality of life may be different than somebody else's quality of life.
Yeah.
some people would think that if I chose to live without electricity, without whatever, and camp out, well, you're nuts. You need to
Right.
be somewhere.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. Yeah. That is just I don't think there could be a definition be placed on it, because it's just case by case scenario of how that person is being affected. And this isn't just, we're talking about like maybe emaciation. We're talking about, how many houses have we been into with, feces, animal feces on the floor, and, yeah. So
Would they consider a person that's living outside be dangerous?
living outside,
No, because that's how she chooses to live. She's no suffer.
They
Yeah.
have a child. We had this recently in our area. They told them that they had to have running water. They have to have electricity.
really,
That's
to
what,
raise their child.
that's what
Whoa.
child services do. Wow.
But they can be left alone at age 3.
So for a mother who's lost her child, is trying to gain custody back, let's say she's lost custody because of drug abuse. In order for that mother to get that child back, there are very few things that she has to provide. One is a refrigerator, a way to wash clothes and wash the child. It's very minimal. Shelter from the rain. That's all you need to live. So when you think about it, there's a lot of choices when you live in Arkansas.
Yep.
Yeah, but like you was just saying, they required that this, in order to raise your child, you gotta have running water and what?
Electricity. Yep.
Well, I know a lot of people that are cleaner that don't have that than are that do have it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Point well taken.
I have a lot of neighbors when I was a kid that they didn't have any of that stuff. And
Yeah, but back
they
then-
were,
And I think that we
but if
still
you
have.
chose to live that way,
Oh, yeah.
they should not, if I'm a
Back then,
confident
you didn't have a
parent,
choice sometimes.
That's right.
Anybody didn't have the money to pay for those electricity. Now they think you have more choice. Too many phones.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and break at 7:00. So go stretch your legs, do some jumping jacks.
Oh, good, I get to do the display.
Need anything?
I first need to know why you invited me to the Michael J. Fox impersonation podcast, because I don't have Parkinson's. So this could get really uncomfortable.
So Miss Pam, I've got to know, I think we've actually known each other longer than what we've actually known each other.
Right.
We've knew about each other, and she has not suffered, as she told us earlier, but she has had some medical concerns that has arose. She just told me since January. So I want her here tonight to talk to us. We've talked about past pertinent histories, about trying to reroute, from in 1964, I had this, I had an infection in my big toe. How does that relate to today? Well, her past pertinent history starts in January with her condition and what she's struggling with. So I want her, she wants to bring awareness to what she's going through and just help us be more compassionate. Because tonight really is, I'm emphasizing our special ones, our children, our infants, and our geriatric patients. These are our special ones, special considerations. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you get my cane off the back of that? Sure. So, imagine this. You go to bed on Saturday night, a perfectly healthy 64-year-old woman. I'm an artist. And I do everything with my hands, and I need a wonderful brain, and I need to be able to design things in my head. That's how I have a quality of life. So imagine this. I sit up in bed because my husband came in and put his hands on the top of my feet because I had said to him, I want to get up at 8:30 tomorrow morning. I want to get up in time to go to church. I wasn't up at 8:30. He said, I better go wake up the wife. I'm always a very pleasant person. I smile pleasantly. I'm not a person who's grumpy. I'm a very evenly tempered person. He comes in, places his hands on my feet. My immediate reaction, I bolted up in bed and I said, what are you doing to me? Why are you waking? And now I realize I'm not talking like Pam anymore. Listen to the way I talk. I realized, holy crap, somebody did something to my brain. I'm fully aware of what's going on, but this is what I came out of the bedroom looking like. Joey, what's wrong with me? He says, what happened? I don't know, but something's terribly wrong. I don't act like this. What do we do? So I said, I think I'd be a doctor. What do you think? So I go to get out of the chair, and now I'll need a chair to demonstrate. So he gets me into my Kia Soul. I get to the ER, and they open the door, and I go to take this leg to take it out of the car. Now we're looking at a minute and a half. I'm like, what is happening to me? Now I'm starting to think, am I poisoned? Did I drink something? I'm running all the scenarios through my head. They finally get me to stop doing this long enough. Got that for them. Stood me up, and this. Okay? I have no idea where my central is. I'm gonna try to get to my central. I'm gonna stand up straight. I can't. I can't sit up straight. So they wheel me in, and the doctor says to me, when did you have your last drink of alcohol? I said, November, Thanksgiving Day. Now I'm pissed. You're inferring I have DTs. Now I'm pissed. You don't know me. And this is frightening. It gets worse. Now the nurse in the ER comes over, and this is what my husband sees. As she's trying to take my vitals, she's going. She wants to go home. The last thing she wants to do is deal with a psychiatric geriatric patient. They do a blood test on me and urinalysis. it comes back low magnesium. Well, no kidding. Who in this room who takes blood pressure medication doesn't have low magnesium when you're sweating like a pig here in Arkansas? Arkansas, I call it now. Right? Arkansas is where I live. So, doctor comes in and I'm going, he looks at my husband and goes, what's wrong with your wife? Are you kidding me? He said, she went to bed a normal person. You tell me what's wrong with my wife. Fast forward. Here's magnesium. I had to ask for something to take it with because I know when you drink magnesium, I'm going to puke. You give it with orange juice or something to get that taste out. So I said, can I have a chaser? Really? I have to ask for a nurse for a chaser on a magnesium? Okay. So I drink it and now I'm getting the bum's rush. You know what that is? Here's your hat. What's your hurry? Goodbye. Because Susie Q was looking at her watch. And she wanted to go home. So Joey loads me back into the car. I go home and I'm doing this. And it won't stop. Next thing that happens is, watch my feet. You can't see back there. I look like I'm toe dancing and my feet will do this. This hand does this. I do this. This is another movement I make. If I put my hands underneath my thighs and say, don't move, watch what happens when I let my arms. See, it's already hard for me to not. When I release, I make up for what I was suppressing. What does that tell you? Very smart people. What's coming through your head right now? Neurological damage. Okay? There's a very simple test to see that I have a neurological problem. You take my foot, I hope they're kind of.
It is Arkansas.
It is Arkansas. You take your finger, rub it from the heel to the outer part of the foot, and you tell me what's my foot supposed to do? It's supposed to flex and toes open, right? Not me. I point, neurological damage. Okay? My left side doesn't talk to my right side. Well, what's causing the interruption? Well, I took my shoes off for a reason, and that is because I find that when I'm barefoot, my toes are doing all the work of balancing me. So if you have somebody who's having balance issues, look at their feet. You can clearly see I need all my toes to keep me from going that way. So my condition rocks me back and forth, lateral obliques. I've lost 35 pounds like that because I'm in constant movement. How do you navigate a life when I can't stand at the kitchen sink unless I lean and put my pelvis against the sink? Now, I just have to get my hands to cooperate, okay? And I have been able to do dishes, although I don't like to do them anymore, because I just got a pass. So, said to my doctor, I'm gonna get out of my chair, and I said, you tell me what's wrong with me. Tell me, what's wrong with me? What do you see?
Behavioral,
Behavioral.
drugs.
I took some drugs, sir. And we don't know what those drugs are doing to her. So now I'm suspected of being a druggie who probably took something off the street.
Your urine sample should have showed that, shouldn't it?
What?
Your urine sample should have showed that they took, shouldn't it?
Glad you brought that up.
We haven't figured out a way to.
So, once I have those spasm things that now we are calling seizures.
That's your 10 minutes. Sister.
Thank you. We're calling those seizures, but they're called non-epileptic seizures because I don't lose consciousness. I know who all the presidents are. I know the date. I know my husband's name, all of that. Okay? But when I tell myself to walk, and my feet are right there, I can't just walk. I have to say, walk, Pamela. And my brain goes, split second, she wants to walk. She wants to move her right leg. But there's that little synapse in there, like a miscommunication. Okay? So, one of the things I find out is that the reason I have so much pain is because when I'm doing herky jerky, is what we call it now, doing the chicken. Now, who remembers the chicken from Sesame Street? Doing the chicken. So we got to laugh about it because if I don't laugh, I'm gonna be in a shit ton of problems. Okay, my attitude dictates my entire life. If I suck, then I'm gonna make sure you suck too. And if I'm happy, guess what my last name is? My name is Pam Mason Smiley. Thank you for listening to my story. I have functional neurological disorder. It will wax and wane. It will come and go. It will get worse, but it can get better. I did a hula hoop at a car show on a Saturday night about 7 weeks ago. Threw down my cane and said, who needs a damn cane? And I hula hooped for the first time in my life. I was sore the next day. But I have bragging rights now that a 64-year-old French-Canadian woman can be a lot of fun. She's still who she used to be. I only think I'm funnier now because I've got time to think about how to be funny. Okay, thanks everybody. So I'm going back to the ER. I'm going back and I have some things to say to the doctors. And one of them is, not one doctor has confirmed my diagnosis. I did all the work myself. They told me I have, you ought to write this down. They said I had tardive, meaning delayed, tardive, T-A-R-D-I-V-E, dyskinesia, D-Y, good luck with the rest. Kinesia, dyskinesia, with ataxia. What's ataxia? It's this movement here. It's the torso is what's doing ataxia. Okay? So they said tardive dyskinesia with ataxia caused by unknown etiology. Thanks. Unknown etiology. We don't know what's wrong with you. And I had a neurologist say to me, I don't even know what test to order. Now I'll give you a message of hope. On August 30th, I'm seeing my specialist in the, give me a minute. I'm going through my files, hold on. Uncontrolled muscle disorder. And how did I come up with FND? That's a topic for another day. I'll keep you hanging.
Any questions?
Please ask questions. I love to know what you're thinking. When I came in
So
here,
you
what
went to bed, you woke up,
exactly?
and you went to bed feeling fine?
I was tired because I have what they then thought, now I'm questioning my entire life. I have fibromyalgia and I have episodes that will put me in bed for 3 to 4 days at a time. My worst flare, it's called a flare, was in 2011. I was 3 months in bed. A divorced single woman, scared for her life. And I laid in bed and dealt with a lot of pain. How do I deal with pain? Medical marijuana. I am a medical patient. Am I an abuser? Maybe I've abused. Maybe. Okay, yes, I did. But here's what I learned. There's a difference between medicating and getting stoned. There's a difference between having a glass of wine with you at Olive Garden, having a meal with you, and chugging down the moonshine. Okay? So, we have a conundrum. Medical side says, what are we going to do with PMO? We're going to sedate her. She's elderly. She's in a wheelchair. This is me. If I was going to do pharmaceutical. Muscle relaxants. They would be hitting me with muscle relaxants because they don't want me to suffer. I'd be drooling. I'd have to be fed. You saw me, I ate. I don't eat the way I want to eat. Normal people bring it to your mouth. I have to bring my mouth to the spoon. Any other questions? Yeah.
Could mini strokes be something that we could cause?
Good
overnight like
question.
that?
I'll tell you
And my
what's your.
second question is,
I have to think about a really good comeback. So here's what I learned in the ER. Pamela, you can smoke medical marijuana, but you're smoking the wrong stuff. You need to switch. Sativa is during the day. That says, I want to clean my kitchen. I will clean my kitchen and it's going to look awesome. I'm going to get rid of all my pain as if I took a hydrocodone. Anybody ever had hydrocodone? We could paint the outside of a house on Saturday afternoon. Okay? Because it lets you do anything with no pain. So what I was doing was medicated with sativa during the day to have some energy and creativity because I need energy to do my life, right? Then I would say anytime after 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock, then I would switch to an indica. Indica, in the couch. That's how you remember it. This is me on indica. For about 15 minutes it will do that. So here's what I do. I smoke. I get in a comfortable position and I wait for it to kick in. When it kicks in, I drop my head and I just thank the good Lord that He gave me an herb that was given to us. Pharmaceuticals have their role. I understand. But in my situation, what would you do to control your pain and not want to take 9 pharmaceuticals that have been prescribed to me over my lifetime? And what's it doing to my kidneys? What's it doing to my liver? When I smoke, it goes immediately to my brain. I get what they call a headband, which is the rush of THC. When it hits the brain, you get a headband. Now, I've called the ambulance several times when I lived in Arizona, not Arkansas, because I vaped for the first time. Took a vape pen that has CBD and THC. 2 hits on that. Oh, Nelly, I needed an ambulance. And I said to my husband, if they did a colonoscopy and a breast exam, I had all my tests done in one day. They ran every test on me that they could, and they said, don't use so much marijuana. You can use it, but you may be abusing it a little bit more than you should be medicated. And that's when I said, roll it back in. Now I smoke. When I get up, it's around 10. About 1:30, 2 o'clock, I need to smoke again. I can only be out of bed 2.5 hours at a time before my body starts reacting and says you need sleep. So I laid down 45 minutes before I smoked, laid down 45 minutes, came here, ate. So right now I'm at the most medicated part of smoking. Okay? So I defy you to tell me that I look stoned or medicated. Does anybody think I look that way? I'm pretty articulate in my speech. I'm on point, centered. I can't function without my body being able to go, I can finally rest. I get into bed, you can imagine the fight to get to sleep. This wants to do this, and this hand wants to do this, and then my head wants to do this, and I'm tired, and I just want to go to sleep. And then finally the marijuana kicks in. Lights out for Pamela. She'll be up around 2:30, 3 o'clock. If she's in pain, she'll smoke again. If not, it's to the bathroom, back to bed, and I'll sleep beautifully till 10 the next morning.
While you're sleeping, do you shake like that?
I don't know because I sleep alone because I'm a terrible snorer. So when Joey and I got together, he says, babe, I love you, but that snoring's gotta go. So he said that he's surprised that our windows don't open. When Pam snores, between 4 and 8 is when you should be getting your REM sleep, right? I had a sleep study done. You're supposed to have 4 sessions of REM lasting 20 minutes each. I had 4 sessions of REM lasting 1.5 minutes. I have no restorative sleep. What happens in your brain when you don't have sleep? Your memories are here. So tonight when you go to sleep, your brain says, I'm going to pull out all the pertinent information about today. So this is a memory tonight that I'm going to be pulling out and putting it into long-term memory. If I don't get REM sleep, I'm not pulling out any cards. I have non-24. I don't know when to eat. I don't know when to sleep. I don't know when I'm supposed to be doing anything because my brain does not operate on a 24-hour schedule. I'm a child.
That makes sense in our profession.
Right? Another thing that you will find, I want you to hold this for me and don't tell me, but drop it on the floor when I least suspect it. Go ahead. This is what I did. I have a child. Babies do this. When you drop a child from 12 inches off the bed and you let them go, their hands do this. So do I. my leg pulls up. That's my body's response to that sound, because my brain doesn't know what I heard. All I know is that you shocked my body, and now my body will react. So on a clinical level, when you see somebody who says, I was sick, I took medicine, oh, she might have had a drug interaction. Then you go to the ER and they don't know what test to run. Then you go to your primary, she says, it looks like drug abuse to me. So she now wants me to pee in a cup. You can see how everything just went wrong. It just, when it went wrong, the wheels came off and we went into the gutter. And then we had to figure out now at 65 and 66 years old. So, March 7th. Yes, March 7th. So March, April, May, June, shit show. It was horrible. My mind was so messed up. What is happening to me? My brain came over here. I'll explain that at another time. It gets very deep, but psychologically, I had to separate my brain from my body. That brain is good. My body's not. And it's called decompartmentalization. I am seeing a psychiatrist this week to make sure psychiatrically I'm handling things well. Do I get an amen that I think I'm doing well? I think I've nailed this. So if you can get through the first 4 months of not knowing what's going on, it still did, it still find medical research backing up my own theory, I got it. So here's what you can do. You want to know more? fnd.org. Then fndcare.org. fndhope.org. You will see very sad things. My first time I just saw last week, a 6-year-old child. He faints. He'll be walking, boom, down he goes. No explanation. Doctor says it's gotta be POTS. It wasn't POTS. It's FND. That's how he presented. He says, Mommy, I keep getting the drops. I'm walking down the schoolyard and I go into the schoolyard and I got me drops. That's how he explained it. I got me drops. He kept dropping. So now I have to ask, where did all this come from? I'm going to say one thing and then I'm going to end. Guess where I'm classified according to my medical records. FND post-COVID. And with that, I'll end.
So I know you've researched this. How common is this condition? And how should we treat something like this? If we arrive on the scene and the husband says, "You put the bed over and woke up like this," what do you do?
Well, this is where you guys, you guys know I'm from Horseshoe Bend. I'm from Israel County. So I'm more familiar with you guys, our regulars. I'm pretty familiar with it. We go on quite often, but you guys are the backbone. I can't emphasize this enough. You guys know your neighbors, you know your community. And if Miss Jenny woke up and she's just not acting right and you know her, I'm going to pay more attention to you and your report.
She said she talked different. I thought stroke.
Yeah, it,
Here's
very
how I know
well.
it's not.
Yeah, where's that?
Roll of my tongue. You can't do it if you had a stroke.
Yeah.
You can't do this either.
I did not know that.
You can't smile when you've had a stroke. That side will work. This side does
Yeah.
that. I knew I didn't have a stroke because the first thing I did was, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's not a stroke, but what are these episodes that make my body do this terrible, terrible thing? It's horrific to look at. Joey did record it on my request. Okay, he didn't do it to say, look at my wife, she's messed up. They'd say, we knew she was messed up, but that clearly shows it now. But I said, because somebody somewhere is gonna say, what happens to Miss Pam when she has this? I can't bring it on, I can't control it, I don't know when it's gonna happen to me, or to the extent it will go. So, like I said, I sat on my hands, and the first thing is, I was like, I gotta move, and then when I stopped moving, and then my body will come. So, you guys had an excellent bird's eye view of me navigating, trying to come through a door for the first time on a big step. The whole world is a challenge, because if there's any pitch or grade or anything like this, my head's going like this. I've smoked marijuana, and now you want me to walk up another grade. Good luck with that. So there's a difference of knowing I'm medicated, but I'm not stoned. There's the difference, guys, is I'm not an abuser, I'm a user. Just like that 5 o'clock cocktail when you got home. That beer never tasted so good after you did that lawn, and you're hot and sweaty, and you hear, right? There's just nothing better. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I tried 4 ounces of wine, but to be honest with you, I gotta be careful. I don't want to fall out of my wheelchair and say, I got drunk in my wheelchair.
Okay, any other questions?
Where did you find your specialist? That you're going to see?
Oh, good question.
We're gonna go ahead and break. If anybody needs to get up, needs to go smoke, use the bathroom, go ahead.
I'm not gonna smoke here. They're all wanted. Oh, no, don't drive. No, I wanted to get stopped by the cop and he'll say to me, when I'm going like this, you know, you're in no condition to drive, and I was gonna say, have you seen me try to walk? No, it's not fair to the public that I would put anybody at risk. I'm good.
All right, thank you.
But is your specialist?
Thank you, thank you. It's gonna be fine. I'm telling you, it's gonna be fine. I'm going back. Okay, this hand is doing this hand's doing this, my feet are doing this.
Yeah, it's in this here. Yeah.
Okay, everything else, your files unsheet that's got your respiratory rates and whatnot on it. Respiration, adult, adolescent, school age, preschooler, and infant. Got a hollow second peritoneum. Yeah.
Respiration on the top. There were extras on there, but you all have it.
Okay, so what I'm tearing open right now is an OB kit. We're gonna kind of explore. We're gonna see what's in here.
Tommy needs to speak paper.
Do we have those?
We have them on the ambulance. I'm not sure about department wise. Morrison has them. I think Morrison's delivered a couple babies, haven't they? So, yes, sir. What? And Hugo's.
What?
Really?
On Super Bowl Sunday.
Wow, how cool.
After we were told that we don't need to learn.
That's right, we're never gonna have baby people.
Oh, yeah. That's why I'm covering it. Oh. Oh my goodness.
So we were waiting for the ambulance, we're like, no, the ambulance is not gonna make it. Now, we're gonna put her in the car and take her to the hospital. Which now that I know we should just deliver the baby to the house
Yeah.
instead of the car. We won't tell you the process of cleaning up afterwards, it's part of the life.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have your check, which goes underneath your mama to clean up the mess. You have your sterile drop cloth that goes over the lap. Yeah, and like medi naps, really, like when you go to a restaurant, that's really going to clean stuff up. You have your bulb syringe. You have another drop cloth. You have your scalpel. Huh? Have sterile gloves. I don't know why you have sterile gloves. It's sterile. Maternity link pad. Yeah, they're in here. Yeah, they're in the package with the wipes. Yeah, the nappy wipes. So they're just little V shapes. I'll leave this open if you guys want to come up and look at it. So there's really not a lot to tell you about labor. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. Stages of labor, there's 3 stages. There is the actual when they're at a 10, the crowning at a 10, the delivery. Labor, stage 1, crowning, the stage 2, and or delivery of the baby, stage 2, and stage 3 is the delivery of the placenta. It is going to be gross, and it's going to be bloody. It's going to be messy. The most important thing is to the sanitary napkin for mom to make sure to stop the hemorrhaging, and also you've got to massage the abdomen to get the vessels to stop contracting and to contract, excuse me, to contract to stop blood. Yeah. So baby generally a normal delivery is going to deliver shoulders to the side, and then it's going to turn. So when it turns, when we talked about in CPR, the 2 fingers between the nose and the mouth, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to deliver that baby face down with your fingers supporting the nose and the mouth, keeping it open. You're going to do the bulb syringe. They are saying you don't slap the baby on the back anymore if it hasn't taken its breath when it comes out. You flick its feet. So from the baby's abdomen, you measure 2 to 3 inches and put your first clamp, and then do what?
I'm just saying, if somebody down there was the baby we got. They're pretty old, most of them pretty old.
So it's, I told you wrong, it's 6 inches from the baby, and then it's another 2 to 3 inches is where you put the next clamp. And you do it after you get the clamps on, you cut after the umbilical cord quits pulsating. Mhm.
And if it's still bleeding, you'll have to actually take it out after the-
You want, yeah, you're gonna want mom in the squat position, because if she's in the left lateral cumbent, she can lay on that vagus nerve and she can pass out from that. You want to put baby to mom's chest, and you want her, yeah, I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. If it is a breech birth, if there's difficulty with it, have the mother go on her knees, and that's probably the way that we're going to transport her. If it's a nuchal cord, you don't want to stick your fingers in the vagina at any point in time. If it is a nuchal cord where it's prolapsed, if you can see the cord and get 2 fingers in between the cord and the baby's chin underneath the neck, you can do that. Sometimes the cord will deliver before the baby. Don't mess with it either. Just make sure it's not around the baby's neck if you can see it. So, any questions on that?
Stem cell? Nothing around in there?
Yeah, they need it, don't they? Yeah, so is this BSI? I mean, let's just be honest. Is that BSI? No. That may be,
Is that their normal kit or not your first?
that's a normal kit. That's what we carry on our truck. So some of our equipment, I'm gonna pass these around. We can open them up. This is all expired stuff. This is, I don't have access to a trainer AED, so I'm excited when I get stuff like this. So these are the AED pads. There's a size difference in that. We also have differences in, we talked about the Ambu bag. There are all kinds of goodies in here. The electrodes are smaller too.
Okay, what's the other?
Okay, so when we're on scene and we're taking care of these little guys, screaming baby is a healthy baby, right? Patent airway, conscious. Okay, so let's look at some sick kids. And if you gotta leave, it's okay. It's understandable. Okay, so before we see vital signs, what do we notice right off? Stomach. Okay, so accessory muscles, good. What else? Unconscious, so he's not alert, right? Okay, how do his eyes look? Puffy, okay. Be what? Rolled back, okay. Closed, yep. Yep. That typically they do that when they start IVs on kids where they can't pull them out. So they'll put them, he's got Cobain, and they'll put a little arm splint on him. So watch his breathing. See the use of the accessory muscles through the ribs? So kids typically are belly breathers up until about school age, which means they're going to use their belly muscles more than what they're going to use their chest muscles. But he's using both in this scenario. That is bad. He's not getting enough oxygen. He's not blowing off enough CO2. We talked about CO2 is the respiratory drive, not oxygen, right? So I'm not sure. It could be, I wouldn't say allergic reaction because it doesn't look like he has any kind of like urticaria or like any blisters, anything like that. I don't see any swelling other than around the eyes. I would think maybe something, maybe shock, like in stages shock. Yeah. Uh-huh. I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Most times with children, it's going to be a respiratory issue, respiratory over cardiac, unless they have a cardiac history, they have. Yeah, the respiratory drive is going to go down before the cardiac drive does. So right here is the, yep, cap refill. So let's count how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 seconds, right? Not good. That. All right, so we know a little bit. So, what would we think? How old do we think he is? 7, 9. Okay. Where those shoes go? All right. So, can anybody flip in their book to see what the heart rate's supposed to be? 6,200. So, is he? What is he? Tachycardic. Good. All right. Where's my playbook? Depressed. I can't see that. Depressed mental status, sunken eyes, hyperpenia or tachypnic. That means his respiratory rate. What is his respiratory? What should it be? So that's preschooler. 6 to 12. Yeah. Yeah. Scratch. Okay, we'll scratch it out and put what the book says. Oh, it is what the book says? Okay.
Yeah, adolescents, here all.
6 to under 8, and respiratory rate of 16, heart rate of 123, according to Google.
Okay. What's that?
Did they just decide to report the patient?
For medical purposes, yeah. We have what's called PALS, and it's Pediatric Advanced Life Support. It's like ACLS, but it's for kids. And this is some of their old training videos. We have to train in this at about every 2 years. Did you?
Yeah. So 4 to 5 is preschool. We'll take 491. So first to 28 of the 1 to 3 preschool, 4 to 5, school age 6 to 12.
That was my mistake, guys.
We need to change the positive to 12 to 3. 12 to 3, yeah, so, yeah, 1 to 3.
18 plus is 18 is considered an adult, so 12 to 20.
Yeah, but there's 13 to 16, 13 to 17, it's 18 to 30, and 12 to 16.
So is this still you guys
For sure.
Yeah. Yes.
more of these depressing videos?
There's about 4 or 5 of them.
This is the right respiration.
Oh,
Because one's 12 to 16. one's
If you
18
need to
30.
step out, it's okay.
it doesn't,
It's okay.
It doesn't say. Here it is. Yeah, it's on page 501.
Because you got this illustration.
So 13, 17, 12, 16. is the correct one. That would be 6 to 12.
So 6 to 12.
Not even-
Thank you.
So like how you have, like, pediatric child, sick baby.
So the boy was in shock, right?
Yes.
And what do we do? Okay, what do I do?
So what do you do for shock?
That's-
Cry.
It smells like
You keep them warm. So you assess their vital signs, make sure their airway stays patent.
it.
They're really not teaching that anymore. You want to make sure that all of the blood's going to try to compensate and go back toward the core, right? So you want to lay them back if they will allow that. Because if they're like severe respiratory distress, you're not going to be able to lay them down. But get them into a position of comfort. If they need oxygen, give them oxygen. And we'll be there as soon as what we can. Unfortunately, I mean, we've got meds and stuff on the ambulance, but a lot of the care that kids need, we don't have. I mean, we will stabilize and get them to the most appropriate facility that we can. But that's about all you can do. Unless you have like a pediatric team. So what are we seeing here? So seesaw breathing. Some use of accessory muscles in the neck. Yep, got an NPA, flared nostrils. How's this color? Heart rate's 160. Is that good or bad? What is it supposed to be? I would say maybe 6-8 months. So it'd be an infant 30 to 60. Heart rate? Good catch. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, so we got a good heart rate, right? All right, 90. Yeah, blood pressure's 90/60, it looks like. It's really hard to tell. Respirations are 40. What are respirations supposed to be? Okay. O2 sat, that's 90 is the O2 sat. So is that good or bad? Mm-hmm.
So we do that with a breather or?
Yeah, the NPA.
Is the chest pull out like that? One of the-
Yeah. Yeah, it's that those accessory muscles trying to compensate. Kids will compensate as far as what they can, and then they'll just drop. They'll just code on you quick. Yeah. Four cap refill, modeling. Look at the modeling through here. Yeah, toes are purple. All right, so we've got 70/30 for a blood pressure, good or bad? Bad. All right, respiratory rate of 30. Normal. Heart rate 170. Okay. O2 sats 95. Normal. So what's blood pressure? Yep. Yep. 94. Yeah. 94 to 100. Yeah. Yeah. His color's not good, right? So would you go ahead and give him oxygen? Yeah. That's a good point. Good job, Caitlin. So you see the modeling in the leg, and you see the cap refilling. It was
Very slow.
very, very slow. So he needs more oxygen to the tissue, right? Yeah.
Even though number 95, still needs more.
Yeah. So is this a green patient, or is this a yellow patient, or is it a red patient? Is he gonna die right now? Is he gonna die pretty soon? If you don't get help? Yeah. Love you.
Red.
We're almost up back.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Yes, I would say yellow.
So the marks on the body are from blood clot?
It could be blood clot. It could be some kind of reaction. Yeah, that would be more along the lines of, I think, an allergic reaction.
I told you the same thing. No return on the circulation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a hole in the heart. You know?
Yeah.
It was microscopic, stroke.
Kids can have strokes too. Yep. All right, right off we can see modeling, right? You get can you not see? In the arms, yep, in the core. Got pursed lips. Mm-hmm. Everything's different, isn't it? So are kids normally mouth breathers or nose breathers? Mouth breathers. So he's got the mouth closed. So is that good or bad? How's his AFPU? Where's he at? Probably a painful, right? Because he's not gonna, when you talk to him, he's probably not gonna respond, right? Okay. So blood pressure 80/40, good or bad? Okay. Heart rate 140. Normal. O2 sat 93. Low. Respiration's 50. High. Normal. Green, yellow, red. Yellow, good. All right, last video. All three.
So is that something we need to tell you when we get there and you're on your way to take it green, yellow, red or what?
No, that's just like green would be non-emergent, yellow would be emergent. Yeah. I would just say, probably alert to painful and, give the vital signs, and that will tell us. I don't want to know what shoe firm was there.
And there's a reason you're looking at my feet. Shoe carnival for me, which means we're winning with over $1 million.
Thank you. It's testing my patience. I don't have Miss Pam's patience. So what do you see here? Yeah, the use of accessory muscles right through here. So what could you do for him? Lay him on his back. Yeah. Open the airway. Yeah, good job. Okay, all right, good. Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Yeah. Yep. All right, now that I've depressed everybody. Let's go ahead, let's get moving around, let's get ready for practicals. Everybody that I talked to earlier, let's get ready. We're gonna get the ones that haven't tested, get them ready.